So this is part two because my doggie's been barking. His neighborhood rival is passing our house. We live in a pretty high house. It's kind of almost like a tree house, really. But he sees his arch rival out there, and he's going bananas because, you know, because he's a male dog. That's what male dogs do. But um, as I was talking about, retirement and assessing your life and assessing your physical as well as your mental. And it's not all about just the financial part. Everybody wants to say, oh, you got to have this X amount. Yeah, but if you don't have good health, a good mental frame of mind, and you don't have straighten out some other things, it won't matter how much money you have. The only thing is the money will help take care of all of the things that you have to address that you didn't take care of before you retired. So super important, to assess your condition, your finances, all of that. I didn't have any finances. I lost a restaurant that had 3 restaurants under it, and I like I say, I lost the relationship that I was in. That was a mutual thing, not sad at all. It just had to happen. He was my business partner in the restaurant industry, and no blame on him. It was just time for that situation to end. And so, like I say, I had to really reinvent myself, but not knowing what I was supposed to do was really hard for me. I had to really figure it out. And that's the main reason why I make this video, is just so, you can kind of create a game plan based on somebody else's experience. And I'm going to tell you, dealing with Social Security is not fun. They are a tangled web. And so, you have to get everything together when you apply, and then, it feels like you got everything under control, and then they create issues for you. So there's a lot of different things that happen there, and you just have to go with the flow there and do your research on your retirement, because because they will try to jerk you around. They really do. Even though you've worked for it all your life, they still try to jerk you around. So, I suggest doing some study and background and research on, the Social Security and how much you can get at 62, and if waiting till you're 67, it's 5 years later. And a lot can happen in 5 years. And if you're not in the proper headspace, in the proper physical condition, it seems like right around that age to 70, 75 is when people start having, health issues if it's not taken care of. So again, one of my biggest suggestions is getting your health under control. So, I didn't depend a lot on doctors for my health path, because they are not trained very well in traditional treatment of health issues. They are there with their prescription pads, writing you prescriptions for things that you're going to put into your body. And this is just my opinion. This is my opinion. It doesn't matter that my opinion is the only way to see it, but I'm telling you, look at me at 65 and judge for yourself. I have heart attacks in my family, all kind of stuff in my family. I am not at risk. I do not accept that path. And the only way that I can not accept that path and claim a path of freedom and good health is if I create it. I create it. Doctors aren't going to create that for me. I don't know how many people that you really know that have went to a doctor and they may put a Band-Aid on something. They may stop the things that are coming up, the conditions that are coming up for you, but then they add another thing, and then they add something to counteract the side effects from that. And I just don't think that's good medicine. I think it's not even health care. It's just a management through drugs. But I mean, I want you to think about, the things that you can do and take charge of your health. Super important. And it is a decision. And I'm going to say, is it easy? Is it easier than taking a pill? No, it's not. It's not. But the outcome is so much better. I did end-of-life home care for 25 years. I was private hire, and I would go into your mom and dad's or your grandpa's home or grandma's, whatever, brother, sister, whomever, who was usually terminally ill, and I would take care of them. And I would see these people as their illnesses, usually from old age, progressed. And, I saw the medications they were on, and I just realized that, it all started when somebody got a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and then you're on 20 medications, and, and you're still eating poorly, and you're not taking care of yourself, because you have Alzheimer's, and Alzheimer's is tough. It is tough. But there are ways that, you can contribute to your wellness for as long as you can. You need to examine that condition and maybe realize there's some things that you can do that might prevent it, because I believe Alzheimer's and a lot of things are really actually quite preventable. But I believe that big pharma and other profitable organizations don't give us that hope. And we are in a time of convenience. We live a life of convenience. Think about, I was born in 1961. No computers, no cell phones. It wasn't the caveman ages, but it was very different than it is now. And there was no research. People now are so blessed that they can, look at research. They can, they can find out information. That's how I've learned most of what I've learned, is through watching some very good doctors that I follow on the internet, YouTube. Shout out to Dr. Berg. I love him, Dr. Bergman. These people they're chiropractic medicine, but they also they do whole body, holistic type medication, and just teach you everything you need to know from a holistic medical point of view, which is the direction that I went in. Now, if you have a serious medical condition, of course, I tell you, that you should go to your regular physician and then, go from there. But sometimes the plans that they give you are not always, pardon me, my coffee's haunting me, but is not always the route that you should take. Through the convenience of life that has, to me, somewhat destroyed our world. We don't want to do anything the hard way anymore. We don't want to exercise. We don't want to pay extra for good food. We don't want to not spend all this time on videos. We don't want to cook our meals anymore. Those are things that, yes, our grandparents did. But, the last man that I took care of, he was 95 years old. He grew up on a farm. They grew all their own food. He fed, helped his mom feed the family after the dad died. And it was a neighborhood thing. The whole neighborhood got together and they grew crops, and, just an amazing thing. And there's no way that I can say, that I really feel like his life, not by choice, it was how it was back then. was it affected his health and enabled him to live a life to 95 years old. And he smoked and he drank, not when he was older. Well, he did some, but but it was super interesting. I learned a tremendous amount, and that's the good part of my job that I had, being a terminal life end of care caregiver, is that I loved everybody that I worked for. They became my friends, and they became like the family that I don't have. My family is all in California. My mom's passed away, my dad's passed away. So I got to experience the good parts of what was left with these people, and I also learned a lot. I asked them questions, they told me a lot, they taught me a lot, and they taught me one thing. They taught me that we should value life, and that we come to a point where we take life for granted. And I think that it's because of the convenience, easy way that we live life. And there's so much to be valued from our elders and the paths that they chose, um, and there's a lot to be learned there. And I feel blessed, and I have so much gratitude that I was able to provide 25 years of happiness and comfort to these people who were getting ready to cross over. And it made me change my perspective in life. It made me value breathing the air that I did, just waking up and being excited to go make somebody's day a happy day. And I live my life that way. I truly, truly do. And as you get close to, retirement, and you're getting older, and your body changes, your health changes if you don't take care of it, finances change, everything changes, and human beings, and we're not good at change. That's something people want to become rigid in the way that they live their lives, and that's very, I think it's a very narrow path. Or it's actually, I think it's the wide path that people choose. And the narrow path is to do what I'm saying, and is to value life and take care of the things that you need to take care of while you can. And I plan, and I say while you can, but, before you retire, so that you can truly, truly enjoy yourself, and realize that, they don't call them the golden years for anything. And, it's not because life is going to sunset on you, but you know what? It can set and sunset on you a lot quicker than you would like. And for younger people who are watching this, you're young, and you're vigorous, and you don't see yourself ever being 65 years old. And I'll tell you, it's not that bad if you're in a good space, but it can be horrific. I've seen people my age be in a horrific state and not last more than a couple of years. But it's because of their choices that they made in life. And so important that, as you're growing up, that yes, you live your life to the fullest and you have fun, but you're also creating a life for you. And you create balance, and you don't have to face creating balance and a good headspace and being grateful and being a happy person. And before you retire, you can be happy while you're working. I was, but it is, like I said, it's a choice. Life truly is a choice, and it can be a wonderful thing if you choose gratitude, and you choose love, and you choose peace. Or before I came to this point, I lived a lot of my life in darkness, in areas that I'm not going to go into for whatever reason. But life, things had happened to me, growing up, and through marriages that I've had. I've been married a couple times, and which didn't turn out to be a thing that worked out well for me at all. But I had to learn from those lessons, and I felt like life kept presenting the same lessons to me over and over again. And that if I ignored those or said, oh, whatever, and marriage is bad, go and hop into another relationship without examining myself and maybe the reasons why it didn't fail, but the reasons that it ended up the way I did. And I just realized, that you just have to learn the lesson. It's the universe, God, Jesus, whoever you feel is your higher power, trying to tell you something. And that the sooner that you learn that, the sooner that you can pack that problem away. And I have. And the way that I have done it is I chose, after this breakup of the relationship that I had, to remain single. And I have been single 5 years now, and maybe over 5 years. And I was not happy at first, but I have a beautiful dog, and I have a beautiful place I live in, and I'm an artist too. I have a lot of hobbies and interests. Plus, I have my own business that I do at home, and it also includes the peptides. I do jewelry, and I also was a cosmetologist for many, many years, so I also do beauty consultations and things like that, and health and well-being. So I do several things, and it keeps me occupied, and it keeps my brain, always growing. Always seek knowledge, always seek what you can do for the next part of your life, and things that things that you didn't have time to do when you were working and had a family. And I have a family. I have grandchildren now, getting ready to be a great grandma for the first time. And life gets busy even after you're retired. Sometimes it gets busier because there are so many things you can do for other people, more so than when you are working. But I think the main thing with retirement is taking the time to heal yourself from all of the working and all of the time that you spent taking care of everybody else. And I think that self-care is so important, because if you skip over that point, you lose yourself. Many women and men at this stage in their life, wake up next to somebody that they don't know. And I always encourage you to work your marriages out if you can, but a lot of people get left behind, and then you gotta start over and realize, and not be bitter, not be angry, and realize that it's maybe God's way of telling you that you need to focus on you, and you need to focus on yourself and the direction that you want to take, because you've always been under the wing of somebody else telling you what to do, your kids, your spouse, your partner, but you always lost yourself in that. And I did. I lost myself in that. But the best thing with retirement is I've had time to kind of rebuild the headspace, and realize that I can now choose to do what I want to do. And I can choose happiness, I can choose gratefulness, I can choose beauty, and I can choose love. Or I can be bitter about aging, maturing, not having the income that I had, not having the relationships that I had. But I realized there's a season for all things in life, and that my season right now is a me season. And a lot of people think that's selfish, but it's just not true. The me season it's an important part of your life, because it's something for most people that is missing. You become MIA during your active phase in life. It's hard not to, because you're just giving so much to everybody else. So right now I'm fortunate that I can live a really good life and love me. One of my favorite sayings is love yourself more. When problems go wrong, you gotta love yourself more. You have to learn to forgive. yourself. You have to learn to forgive other people in your life. That's so important. Holding on to anger and bitterness, or because your life, you didn't think it turned out the way that it did, but guess what? That is another chapter in your life, and it's something that you can't go back and reread. You can't go back and rewrite, but you can start today, and you can recreate and advance forward once you've really taken the time to learn all of your lessons, and to really have a clear path that you choose to follow. And a lot of people don't want to look at the past, because the past can be ugly. My past had a lot of trauma in it, anywhere from sexual abuse to physical abuse to drugs and alcohol. Yes, yeah. And because I didn't want to be me, I just didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to feel life. And even into my kind of advanced years, I didn't want to face my denial of my own pain. Was it caused by me? Some of it was, but it was caused by me putting a Band-Aid on everything and me not facing life. So I went through the dark night of the soul for sure. But I realized, that is just a stage or a time in your life, and you eventually choose to be an extended time there, or you kind of realize, hey, I get it now, and usually the getting it is that you have to take your power back, and you have to remove those things that are not serving you anymore, and not be a creature of habit. That you have to be flexible, and you have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to grow, and to realize that growth comes through these moments of mistakes, which are not really mistakes. I call them opportunities to learn. They're opportunities to help you figure out you. They're opportunities to see what the universe and God and or Jesus or whoever you follow is bringing to you and saying, you need to examine this and you can fix this. But until you do, that same ugly chapter is going to keep replaying over and over again. You may get into a new relationship, but I found that doing that with me, it was good in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, guess what? It's the same scenario over and over again. So I had to go within my own self and realize there was something in me that was allowing those people to be attracted to me and those kind of people to enter my life. And so that's where I decided that I had had enough of that hamster wheel and enough of that unhappiness, and that I really made a choice to love me more, and to heal myself, to heal my inner child, to heal the loss that I suffered in my life, to heal the pain that I suffered in my life. And by me covering it all up, I actually caused a lot of pain for a lot of people, my children, other family members in my family, because I just didn't know how to handle all the pain that I was in. Not physical pain, it was more headspace pain and heart pain from tough experiences in life. But all of that can be overcome. And and retirement is such a blessing because it gives you that time to be able to do that for yourself. Now, I know a lot of you have partners, and hopefully this is something that you and your partners, can do together or talk about or, approach. But I tell you, having the good headspace and getting through trauma, busy life, and slowing down your gear, and but not stopping. And I think that's super important. I know people who have retired and they just got old because they stopped living. they said, oh, I'm old and I'm broke and I'm fat and I don't have the money to travel. I don't have the money to do anything. And not to say that that doesn't totally affect everything, but you know what? Headspace. Headspace. When you say the words, I am the most powerful 2 words that you can ever speak. And if you put something negative after I am, the universe, God creates that for you to go through. But when you say, I am prosperous, and I am beautiful, and I deserve love, and I deserve forgiveness, and I am the person who orchestrates my life, and I am taking responsibility for my life, your life changes. It takes a while for the mind to actually grip onto that, but it's true. It is true. That's one of the great secrets that I found in life that makes me so happy, is that people miss that. And it's very sad to me when I see people who are older and they're angry and they're bitter. And I think, God, you've missed the boat, because, I'm sorry, you're going to hear my air conditioner going, but you've missed the boat, and they just choose to ride the wave of life and whatever is presented in front of them. And life can be more than that, that's for sure. And those are just some words of wisdom. I have many more. I'll record more of these videos, but just to share about what my experience has been as a single woman who's had a lot of life change, who's went through retirement or is in retirement, but I'm living my best life. I really am. And I want to share with you that no matter what your circumstances are, you can do that too. It's available for you. And I hope that these words help you and they bless you. And I'm going to end it here, but I will be making more videos. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.